My name's Katie, I'm part of the bird team here at the Trust and head of bottom section. I've been working here for just over 8.5 years now. So we here at the Trust, our main aim is conservation and education of beautiful birds of prey. Conservation wise, we work with all of our native birds of prey, from owls to hawks to eagles, all of them. And then overseas we work with lots of vulture species. So we're very, very keen about looking after and conserving vultures because they're having such a hard time in the wild. So my role here covers loads of things, which is really exciting. I get to fly lots of beautiful birds. I look after the lower half of the grounds, cleaning aviaries, making sure the birds are healthy. I get to run experience days, teach people about the birds and chat to people in demos. Our bird of prey hospital here looks after a lot of injured and orphaned or wild birds that get brought into us. We can have up to about 200 a year, so it gets quite busy. But we do all sorts of rehabilitation work there. We here at the Trust have been here for over 50 years now, and we started off not as a public attraction but as a working farm. And what happened was that Reg and Hilary Smith, the founders of our Trust and the owners of the farm, loved wildlife. And lots of people would bring them orphaned or injured wildlife that they'd look after. And one day they brought an albino badger cub. She couldn't go back to her set, she was rejected from her set, so they gave her the best life they possibly could at the farm, and her name was Honey. One day Blue Peter found out and they asked if they would appear on Blue Peter, which they thoroughly agreed to. So they went along with Honey in her little box, and they said to them they went for a little rest break just before they were due to go on air, and they said, whatever you do, don't try and stroke her, it's a terrible idea. They weren't listened to. So the presenter that was meant to go on had to go to A&E. Honey could no longer go on to air because she was more pink, shall we say, than white now, and Reg went on with another presenter who did an ad hoc interview, and in that, because it was so last minute, they said, look, we're really sorry we couldn't introduce you to Honey. If you'd like to see her, head to Wayhill Farm this weekend, I'm sure they'd be happy to show you. 200 people showed up that Saturday to see a badger. It was chaos down the lane, and they thought we're on to a good thing, and that's when they opened Wayhill Wildlife Park. So we used to have all sorts of mainly European wildlife here, and then once their son Ashley took over, we started specialising into beautiful birds of prey. So this is Little Whisper. She is a Australian boobook owl. She's going to be 10 in June, so she's been with us quite a while. Thankfully not. These guys are of least concern in the wild. They're really quite common around New Zealand and Australia, which is nice to be able to say about a bird. So out in the wild she'll be eating all sorts of things, mainly insects but also small rodents. Here she gets a nice variety of different things, from the chicken we normally feed her to all sorts of tasty extras, from kind of rodents to insects and all sorts. And we feed her here, she gets treats. A few times a day, but she gets her main meal just once a day, and that keeps her going over really well. So the thing with birds, quite often someone has to scrub it a lot. I would guesstimate maybe 20 times a day. It's impressive for a bird of this size for sure. So she would normally be living in woodland environment out across mainly New Zealand, and she flies in our woodland arena, which is up near the top of the ground, so we can get her weaving between the trees and doing some beautiful things. I did indeed. I was lucky enough about 13 years ago now to start volunteering here at the Trust, and I was lucky enough to get onto the apprenticeship scheme here. We have lots of volunteers here at the Trust. It is a very slow turnover of staff because we all love our jobs. But yeah, the best way to get into a place like this or any other zookeeping profession would generally be to volunteer first. They love experience more than anything else. So if you want to help out the Trust, come and visit us. Come and say hi to our birds. Every person through the door really helps us. We are a charitable trust, we don't get funds any other way, and we do lots of different events throughout the year, from our experience days where you can come and meet a little bird like Whisper, or come at night and see some of our owls flying in the dark.